What is up, App Nation? It is Steve P. Young, founder of appmasters.com, and welcome to the fam, Fridays with App Masters, where we take a look at your apps and bring on a guest to really break down what's working in the app space. And today I've got a phenomenal guest for you. We're going to talk all about creator marketing. He's got 20 years of experience in games and tech, working as an engineer, producer, Disney VP, and startup founder. And interesting tidbit, he actually slapped a sea lion that was biting him in the head. So I'm curious to know about that story as well. But let me introduce the guest. He is the CEO and founder at Matchmade, the creator marketing platform. And they just launched this express campaign, which is perfect for you guys out there. You can get started with just $500 budget. So really cool. It's a self-serve platform where you can get connected with over 9 million creators on this platform. So without further ado, let me introduce the guest. He is Yuri from Matchmade.tv. Yuri, welcome to the show. Welcome to the fam.
Hey Steve, thanks for the amazing intro. I think you do a better job pitching myself and the company than I do. So super happy to be here.
Yuri, you can hire me as a hype man anytime, my friend. So let's talk a little bit about how you got started in the space. What were you kind of seeing in the space? Because you come from the gaming background, what were you seeing that you wanted to build Matchmade?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those funky things where I've had this pretty random career that then somehow all kind of came together in Matchmade. So I started literally 20 years ago. Like my first job was working for this live streaming startup in Helsinki, which obviously back in 2001, there was absolutely no audience whatsoever. But I can at least claim that I was in this game before almost anyone else. And then, we pivoted to mobile games, which also were not really a thing. Like that's when the very first kind of black and white Nokia phones started supporting mobile games. So I worked on that stuff. But I've kind of always been working in different kind of online media, games, tech related things. And before Matchmade, I'd left Disney, and we were talking with my co-founder about what do we want to do next, and we wanted to do this silly indie game about bank robberies, basically a game that we wouldn't be allowed to make at Disney. And we built it. It was fun. And then we started talking about how do we actually find an audience for this? Because we know it's not a mainstream thing. It's not Angry Birds, or it's not whatever. It's not Clash Royale. But we know that there's people like us who would love to play it. And then you start thinking about it if we have this pretty specific niche audience, where do we find these people? Well, you find them online, blah 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 blah. And then you kind of realize that it's really just a question of there's an audience for almost anything online, but the problem is that you need to be able to actually find them and reach them somehow efficiently, and that leads to influencer marketing. Then we look at influencer marketing and we look at how it's done, and at the time it was this massively manual, very kind of kind of a thing where everything is just based on someone's hunch, and we kind of looked at it and said that that's obviously not going to scale, but one day it will have to. And we ended up building Matchmade to kind of allow that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What I've always heard about influencer marketing, and I want to ask you this, Yuri, but why not call it influencer marketing? Why call it creator marketing? And I think they mean the same thing, but why is that nuance there for you guys?
It's, that's a big kind of philosophical discussion that we had for a couple of years in the company, and then we settled on creators. So the thing for me is that when people talk about influencers, you think of these massive online celebrities, right? It ranges from the Kardashians to Mr. Beast, but it's usually this idea of this people with huge reach whose only job is to kind of be this person and be very visible online in different ways. And that's the influencers. And I feel like we all know that the relationship I have with this person is inherently commercial. They build up this audience so they can monetize it, and they monetize it by influencing me to buy stuff, right? And that's the whole philosophy of this scene. But then the way I got into this stuff is that, like, when I was a kid, I used to just make like computer art. I would make like stupid little games and I would upload them on the internet. And I just did it because it was cool. And like back in the day, you did not have YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, so you couldn't build an audience. But we kind of realized that there's millions, tens of millions of people who just mostly want to create cool stuff and share it with someone. But they're also now able to build these audiences. But these guys are not doing it because they want to influence they don't do it because they want to monetize their influence. They do it because they want to create something cool, and they get the audience because the audience loves the cool thing they've created. So that's why we want to talk about creators, not influencers. It's a bit of a hippie thing, but I think it matters,
I know, that's why I asked. I felt like it mattered because I can see from all the messaging on your website that it was all creator marketing. And I like that term. So I felt like there was a good story in there. All right. I want to say hi to a few people too. Antonio, how's it going, man? Such good content you provide us. Thanks a lot. Keep it up. Oh, thank you. Rassi's here. Fernando's here. I love this community because they came up with FAM. And I was like, I like FAM. It's like family, but Fridays with App Masters. It's lit. What's up, Noah? And then we've got Romaine here. Tim's here. Yash. Whoa. Calm down, phone. Noah, Miguel, Adrian, and then Yanni is here as well. So shout out to you guys. Hey, so my audience probably has not a huge budget, right? Like not the Social Points of the world where you guys are working with, but like for a few $1,000s. And I think this is what is in line with the Express campaigns that you just launched too. Like, what's the best way to get started with if you got a few $1,000s, but that your audience probably is, whether it's a game or maybe it's something that's workout related. And the two apps I picked out for the app audit will probably need an influencer, right? Like I got a client where sometimes it's like, well, nobody's searching for this thing, right? Like nobody's searching. When we think about ASO, nobody's actually searching for this app. So how do we get started with what's one of the best practices in terms of if we have a limited budget, what should we be doing with these Express campaigns? And maybe is it Express campaigns? I mean, is that why you guys built it for smaller budgets?
Yeah, so we precisely built it for that. I mean, this is gonna be maybe a little bit convoluted, but like, bear with me. It's gonna make sense. Because like the thing that we've been doing for a long time is that we've been working with these, bigger advertisers. So yeah, the Social Points and Operas and whatnot, kind of to develop a model where they can reliably kind of scale and repeat the kind of results they're seeing with working with creators. And what it's all relying on is kind of our ability to work with a lot more creators per campaign than what you would get with like a typical influencer agency. So if you work with an agency, you might end up working with whatever, 5 to 10 influencers. Whereas with us, we're aiming to work with hundreds or hopefully thousands, because there's so many benefits to doing that. We can talk about that maybe later. But so basically we built all that stuff, we had all these big companies using it, but then we've always had this kind of this whole project spawned out of like an indie game studio, right? So we've always wanted to support the small guys as well. So then we had this discussion of like, well, like what's really the big limiting factor? Like, why couldn't we take all the stuff we do now for the big companies and instead of, applying it to 50K monthly budgets, apply it to, $500 monthly budgets. And so that's the idea. And I mean, there's still always this kind of thing that I think another guest of yours talked about like a month ago, that in the end, if you work with creators, if you work with influencers, like you always need to be able to kind of drive enough installs for it to show up in your kind of analytics. So you can estimate the lift and then you can see if it works or not. So that's still gonna set the kind of minimum budget for any campaign. But what we've done with Express campaigns is that we made it actually possible for you to just get in, just set it up yourself and kind of then tap into like all the kind of complicated machinery that we've built to do this for significantly bigger companies. If that makes sense again.
No, it does. The thing I wanted to talk about too was you said, hey, it's more beneficial to work with multiple, right? He's like, we can talk about that. You said you can talk about that later. I'm always trying to do multiple things, so I want to make sure I was listening properly too. Is that what you were talking about, Yuri? Like the benefit of working with multiple rather than just one big one?
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the huge that's one of the huge philosophical differences when it comes to influencer marketing versus creator marketing, because like the way people think about influencers is kind of still this thing where you think that you or the agent you work with, the manager you work with, is somehow magically going to be able to find the exact right influencer for you, and then you'll give them 50K, they produce this content, and it's just going to go amazingly well because you gave them some creative feedback, and everybody's you get a ton of installs, the influencer makes a ton of money, and everybody is super happy. But like that just doesn't, like, from like a kind of analytical point of view, that doesn't make any sense at all. And if you look at kind of how marketing works today, it's super like data driven. So anyway, like, so what I'm trying to say with this is that in reality, it's impossible to predict how well any given piece of content on social media will perform. So like when you post this kind of recording on YouTube, like, we don't actually know how many views it's gonna get. You know what your average is, but you don't know how well this is gonna do.
Right.
So the whole thing we're kind of trying to do here is that we're trying to kind of spread that risk. So traditionally with influencers, you would just put all your eggs in one basket and you pray that it works. And what we're saying is that no, like, you want to get the like law of large numbers to work for you. So with one piece of content, you don't know how it's going to perform, but with 100 pieces of content, you know it's going to approach the average. So now you can start predicting how this is going to perform.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, how do we get started with what type of content to actually produce?
Yeah, that's that's also kind of one of those where I feel like I have too many opinions on this stuff, but I've been doing this for 5 years now. Like, so like our thesis is that in the end, I follow a specific creator because I like what they do, right? So that's like I watch your streams, I follow your stuff because I like your style, I like I trust your judgment on kind of who you feature, what do you talk about. So I think that's the first thing, that I think brands really need to respect, that as soon as you try to kind of take over the creative side, you try to dictate to the creators what they should do, it's gonna not be a good experience. The fans will spot it, everybody's going to be in a bad mood, you're not going to get any installs, and it's just a waste of time and money.
Yeah,
that's that's the first thing, right? Like, so you do need to, regardless of the type of content you produce, you ask the creators to produce, you need to give them the wheel, right? So in the end, it's a pretty vast, we started Matchmade, we would only do kind of dedicated gameplay videos. So we would just work with game developers who have a cool game, and then we would find creators that would just do like a whole video about that game. And it works out if the game is super YouTubeable, but then you also need to find the creators that have like who play similar games, or kind of like games that kind of match that new one, so that the audience doesn't get alienated. Now, second clip that's like inside the con.
Hold on, Yuri. I lost you for a little bit. I don't know if his mic.
Sorry. Yeah. Was it getting a pretty funky? Let me turn the lights on just one moment. Yes, there's the sun is setting here, so it's getting a little bit dramatic.
Berlin, yes, sir. All right. I think I lost you a little bit. If you want to, I don't know where it was exactly, but like by 30 seconds ago, I kind of lost you.
No, so just saying that, so nowadays we kind of mostly do integration, so it's going to be a longer YouTube clip, but then there's like a 60, 90-second sponsored part in it. But especially in those cases, like, you really need to kind of let the creator do their thing, because otherwise it's not going to fit in there, and you're going to lose a bunch of the audience when they kind of sense that, oh, this is just like a forced ad instead of something that's actually kind of exciting.
Yeah, we've heard the same thing. I love talking about this topic because I wouldn't say I'm super an expert on this, but integrations seem to be the best form of advertising too. So the better you can integrate it. I've worked with a couple of different sponsors, a handful of them, and they're always trying to be like a complete demo, right? Like, I'm like, no, I know what the audience wants. I know what's going to make you stand out a little bit more. And so let me kind of tweak the messaging, the story on how the features I want to highlight, because, my audience is sophisticated, right? They may not be like some have multi-million dollar budgets, but they're very sophisticated in what they understand. And so
Yeah.
always want to make sure I guide them. And this is a win-win-win for all parties,
Yeah.
me, the audience, and more importantly, and then the sponsor as well.
But that's, I mean, that's the whole, I mean, that's kind of the few things we're always trying to get our advertisers to understand. Like, first, you gotta make sure that the creators you work with actually reach the audience that cares about your product, because otherwise you're just wasting everyone's time, honestly. And the second thing is just like, make it easy for the creator to talk about your thing. So just explain in your own words what's cool about your product, but just give the creator the freedom to kind of explain that in a way that's natural to the channel, and give them good materials. Just give them a lot of like high quality video, high quality, screenshots, whatever, but don't tell them what to use, because again, like, it's your channel. Like, if I'm the game developer, like, I make games, you create this content, so you know what, here's what I think is cool about my game, you choose how you explain it to your audience. Like, that's how you get results.
I like it. I want to say hi to Akif, and then Dimitrios is here. What's happening? Mark, good to see you, my friend. Mark is he's got a pretty decent sized game back in the day. Rudy, how's it going? The other thing that I wanted to talk about with you too is when it comes to tracking, I know you do apps flyer, adjust, any of that integration. What have you seen work the best? Because a lot of times, people might just watch that video and just search for it. There's that organic lift. And so not a lot of people are actually using your adjust apps flyer link. How do you go about best tracking the performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's like an industry-wide problem, not just limited to influencers or creators, but it is that, it is that whole ability to kind of see the incrementality, see the lift. So basically what we try to do with our customers is that, of course, we look at the adjust apps flyer, attributed installs, but then we also make sure that we drive enough traffic, we do enough content in like a short time span, that we're able to get that organic, quote unquote, spike as well. And if you're able to do that, you see the total lift that you generate, plus you see your kind of attributed installs, then you can actually pretty well estimate what's the total real kind of install count that you got from this campaign. And that's when you start seeing results. I would say that's one of the reasons why a lot of companies have historically preferred to work with really big influencers, because they have the ability to just drive a ton of installs in a short amount of time. So then you can prove to your boss or whatever that, this worked out. When you work with a lot of small creators, it becomes difficult. But this is kind of one of those things that we really spend time on. So
Uh-oh, I think I lost him. Good thing I wasn't like picking my nose or anything when he dropped. All right.
I got kicked out.
You're back. I think the internet kind of.
Oh man, sorry about that.
No,
Usually
okay.
it's all right, but this is brilliant. So I mean, yes, what I was trying to say is that, with the big creators, it's easy to get that lift. With small creators, you need to have the kind of tooling, the kind of whatever you need to kind of get them to post their content at the same time, and that's kind of one of the things that we've spent so much time on, just building that, so we have all these automated reminders and these automated kind of checks to make sure people actually post when they promise to, and then you can get that lift, and then you can measure it, and then it starts making sense, right?
Do you have any sense of like when somebody should think about influencer marketing? Or I'm sorry, let me rephrase. When people should think about creator marketing, is it like, hey, I figured out everything, or I'm just launching? When is the right time in the product lifecycle to start thinking about creator marketing?
I would say that, before you spend any serious money on it, you probably want to have some like pretty concrete idea of what is the audience that works out for you. Like, I mean, of course, like, I would like to say that you should just take all of your marketing money and just give it to us, but in reality, you probably want to spend some time on kind of whatever Facebook ads, or pick your poison, to figure out like what are the demographics, what's the kind of like key audience that sticks around and monetizes. And once you have that, we can do something with it. But because the big mistake we see all the time is that people think that you can get results with creators or influencers by just using your own wisdom, your own understanding of what works and what doesn't. But usually it doesn't work out that way. Like, in the end, it's just pretty boring game of, figure out the targeting, figure out how to reach the creators that reach that audience, and then figure out the right pricing, the right brief, the right everything, and then just measure, adjust, repeat. So what I'm trying to say is that you want to establish the baseline kind of targeting and messaging first, and then you can start working with creators.
I like it. I like it. I love that, as I was doing research on you guys, I love that you work with gaming, obviously, because of your background. We got finance with Revolt, cats, obviously a big one, productivity with Opera, and then education. So I love that there's a lot of categories that you tend to work with too. And I just think it's a testament to, that's one of the things I look for as well. So, all right, let's see what Fernando says. I got a comment. You want to tackle this? I create an app like Lingo Kids, games for kids. Any suggestions for me? 2.5 impressions per day, 5 downloads per day, 0 subs. Fernando, remind me again what's your app, and then I can show Yuri what your app looks like. But if he's starting off there, like what would you suggest for somebody who's just like, look, I can't get any type of traction. Like, what should I be doing?
Are you? I mean, again, I think the first question is like, are you seeing conversions elsewhere? Because that's usually the first thing. Like, it's the one of the benefits of the kind of old school marketing, like kind of performance marketing platforms, is that it's really quick to just test different kind of creatives, so different, messaging, different everything. And I would really say that if you're not able to get any results from those channels, then it's going to be really hard for you to explain to the creators like what is cool, and it's going to be hard to identify the right creators. So that's kind of a crappy answer, I'm sorry, but
I love it.
you need to have a starting point, right? And of course, if you have a huge budget, then you don't need to have a starting point. Then you can just like try a bunch of things, see what sticks. Sorry if my connection's dying a little bit, but then you need to have the big budget first, and then you can try things and start iterating.
Yeah, I agree. Your friend, like try to get some type of traction, whether it's Apple search ads or go to Matchmade, whatever it is, because you said it, like you need some type of like what works. Like you have to understand your users, what they're most passionate about. And then, what I tend to look at if you don't know is just like try to get some usertesting.com, really, valuable. Like I think a lot of times people look for numbers and quantitative content, like metrics, but I'm like qualitative is just as important, especially in the beginning. If you're like too shy and if you don't have a huge budget, qualitative, just a handful of people will tell you a lot too. Okay. The other thing I want to get into is, okay, I'm on board. I personally want to we are redoing an app and we feel like, hey, our pricing page wasn't that great, but I feel like this pricing page is going to convert really well. And so after I launch it, I'm personally talking about this. I want to use Matchmade and talk one of these express campaigns. What's the process like? Okay, come into the platform. Do I find the content creators? What do I have to do step by step, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, that's great question. Like that's usually the big culture shock for people who have any experience with influencer marketing, because people's expectation is that I'm just gonna get on this platform, I'm gonna type in my search parameters, and then I'm gonna start handpicking the creators. Then I'm gonna haggle on the price with them. Then I'm gonna tell them that I don't like their hair color, could you maybe dye it pink, and whatever. That's the influencer marketing mindset, and basically we're saying that all of that is a waste of your time. Right. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it so the kind of three things we're looking for is predictable, repeatable, scalable. And that means that it has to be based on kind of objective parameters, applied objectively, so that once you find something that works, you're able to do it again. So the way it works with express campaigns is that it's kind of similar to Facebook ads. Like you go in there, you select your kind of ideal targeting you think is going to work best for you. You upload your assets, you add your kind of talking points, but then we actually allocate the budget automatically. So we look at our data. So we have a network of about 13,000 creators that we work with. So we're actually going to allocate the budget automatically based on kind of who we think will perform best, or who our algorithm thinks will perform best for your targeting and for your kind of product. A lot of people hate it that they don't get to like handpick the creators and they don't get to tell the creators what to do. But the problem with those two things is that, well, your handpicking is not we can't repeat it. It's not predictable. It doesn't scale. And then on the other hand, your creative vision, in my experience, usually doesn't actually help the creator make good converting content. A lot of people hate hearing that, but that's the truth.
That is the absolute truth. I completely agree with that too. As somebody who creates stuff, like, and who likes to work with other creators, I'm like, hey, you know your audience. Like, you tell me, I'll follow your lead on that.
But yeah, but I mean, the express campaigns thing is, it's super straightforward. Like, if you use like Facebook Ad Manager, then you'll feel right at home. And I mean, yeah, you just click go, and we automatically allocate it. You get the results back, and then you can adjust your targeting or your creative based on that, and do another test run. We're trying to apply this kind of performance marketing mindset to the kind of field of creators.
I like it. The thing I want to talk about, what if I don't have that many assets? I just want to provide you with an App Store link. Like, here's the App Store link, go type of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
enough?
I mean, I don't know if I can't remember if the UI allows for that right now, but we might actually add your App Store assets if it makes sense. So like yes, probably your App Store assets are perfectly fine.
Okay. The other thing I want to talk to too is I had a client who loved YouTube. He's like, look, I love YouTube advertising. I love working with creators. And his tip was try to get your creators to create evergreen content. So for him, it was a little bit simple. For games, it might be a little bit more difficult unless it's a really popular game and maybe there's like a little tip or trick within that game. But his was a keyboard app. And he said, look, when I created content about how to change your default keyboard, right? That's one piece of content versus like the top keyboard apps of 2022. Well, I'd rather have the former. I'd rather have that has long-term evergreen type of content. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, it can be super important, and especially if you do this kind of like over multiple months and multiple years, you can build up this kind of reliable source of good traffic. Statistically speaking, I forget the exact number, but it's 95+% of all the views a video is gonna get. They usually get in the first 7 days. So from that point of view, it's not super significant. But it's kind of one of those, like if you hit the right keywords and you kind of end up having those kind of evergreens that keep getting traffic all the time, then it's all basically free. You paid for it and it'll just keep giving for years and years. So like it's a cool thing if it happens, but I don't know if it's something you can replicate kind of predictably.
All right. Okay, I have Fernandos app. Right, Fernando, I have your app right here, but we'll take a look at it in the future as well. Here's Fernandos app. So again, try to get as many downloads as you can. I think if I'm just looking at it, these screenshots, I know they're supposed to be bigger, but they seem a little small. And I know with kids type of apps, like faces always do pretty well from an app icon perspective. Like bright faces. Think about how kids, like these type of characters, are probably more important than some plain old house.
Yeah, if you look at game icons, it's still all just like up close faces, and that works.
Yeah. Yuri, anything else you want to cover from the Matchmade side of things that I might have missed?
No, I mean, I think we're all good. It's just, I mean, like I think my main kind of message there is just people come into the influencer space kind of thinking that you're this kind of creative, almost movie director type of person as the marketer, but really like the reality is that it's the creators who know what works for their audience. And I just wish people would understand that your job is to know what about your product is unique and cool. Your job is to know who is the people you want to reach. And then once you got those two things figured out, you just find the creators who reach this audience, you give them everything they need to, in their own style, in their own words, explain why their audience should check it out. Just people put their ego in this process, and you shouldn't. It's all about, in the end, just knowing those essentials and then trusting the kind of the process and the numbers.
Yeah, I had one person that ran her own agency as well, and she was talking about like if you're looking for ROI positive, maybe creative marketing isn't for you. Do you have a different take on it? Like, because I know you guys use performance marketing a lot, and I like that, right? We always think performance marketing, this is ROI positive, but is this just more of a brand building exercise, or can we drive like good amount of like ROI positive installs?
No, absolutely. And I mean, like, our whole model is built on the idea that if you have this kind of, if you have this like very objective approach and very kind of analytical approach, and you iterate long enough, you're definitely gonna reach a point where you can reliably get a good ROI. The problem that usually we see is that people start kind of like drawing conclusions way too early from way too little data. So you do one video, it performs well, so now you conclude that, oh, influencer marketing is super ROI positive, so now I expect everything to be this. Or you do one video, it performs really poorly, I'll never do this again. And it's just like, from a statistical point of view, like absolutely nothing after doing one video. So it's more like, it's kind of a long, it has to be a long-term commitment, and you need to have this kind of boring analytical approach, and then you can get to like steadily, reliably kind of improving ROI, but you need to make it boring first.
Yes, ask. Could you let us know some red flags before we choose any creator? Now, if I remember right, you can test me. You're right, like, you're not actually picking the creators, right? We want Matchmade to be repeatable, scalable, and so you put the budget in. Matchmade will match you up with the right creators and the target audience you're looking for. Am I right on this?
So there's we, like the people in the company, and there's we, the Matchmade platform. And so the Matchmade platform will look for certain things, right? So if you're doing this manually, you might want to look at things like, are they posting content consistently? Like if it's someone who's on like a steady schedule, that's a good thing. If you can look at like the variance in the key metrics, like is the view count fluctuating like crazy? You can look at engagement, like what kind of, are they getting a high amount of likes and comments to their views, which tells you how dedicated the audience is, how well it's going to convert. Like there's a lot of things you can look at. We do try to look also for kind of toxicity. So if there's, for example, like a lot of toxic comments and whatnot in their content, then it's probably better not to work with them. But yeah, I would say it's kind of, you want to look for kind of consistency, you want to look for decent engagement numbers. If you see them having already done a bunch of sponsorships, then that's usually a good sign that they know how to kind of approach it, how to do it logistically and whatnot. But I don't think there's any like one single thing you want to look at. It's kind of all of these together.
Is there a follower count that you're looking for as well?
So we don't actually look at follower or subscriber counts at all, because that's a bit of a misleading indicator. Like you might have someone who used to be a big deal 5 years ago and now gets no views at all. They'll still have a huge subscriber count. But you might also have someone who's growing really fast and then they'll actually get a lot more views than what the subscriber count tells you. So we always look at basically the last 30-day kind of average views, and that's our size metric.
Is that something you can do within YouTube pretty easily?
Well, if you're doing it manually, you might need to just kind of put the numbers in a spreadsheet and then figure it out. But yeah, we've automated.
That's awesome.
Well, all of this. I mean, we've analyzed like 1.5 billion pieces of content, so there's a lot of like heavy data crunching happening in the background.
I need your guys' help for our YouTube channel. Right here. That's what I need.
I'll give you the full kind of data dump on what we see.
All right, cool. What kind of content I should be creating? Joe's here finally. Joe, good to see you week in and week out. All right, Yuri. Well, that concludes part one. We're gonna go into part two of our YouTube live stream, and we like to start off every part two with a little bit of the dad joke. So here we go. Yuri and I discussed this beforehand. We're going to be playing for 50 push-ups. Now, I know I still owe the 30. I'll try to get that in today. I am trying to run a 10K race today, virtually run a 10K. So I'm going to try to do that. And then, Yuri, I'm trying to hit, I think it's 200K. So it's about 124 point something miles for the whole month of March. So that's why I'm running the 10K. So I'm going to have to throw your push-ups in somewhere. But hopefully I won't lose, all right? Don't be traitors. You talking to the audience. All right, Yuri, you're the guest. So do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You go first, and I'm not super good at dad jokes. So.
All right. So if you like Yuri's joke, put J. If you like my joke, put S. And then loser owes the other person 50 push-ups that we'll have to put on Instagram. All right, Yuri? We'll have to tag each other. Whatever platform. All right, cool. Here we go. Yuri, how much does an influencer weigh? How much does an influencer weigh?
On Instagram?
And Instagram. Yes,
Ah!
that is correct.
Ah!
How dare you?
All the gram
All right,
jokes. Like
Yuri.
I have a couple of those in mind as well, but I'll. sorry for stealing your thunder.
That's okay.
Uh,
What do you
should
got?
I go for mine?
Yes, please.
All right. Why can't the devil make money off YouTube?
Okay. Why can't the devil make money off of YouTube? Why?
Because he keeps getting demonetized. Demon.
Oh man, that's
You know?
a good one. I like that one. I like that one. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble, guys. That was pretty
You
solid.
gotta
I
do
like
those
that one.
50, man.
All right, Jay. Oh man, I'm gonna see a lot of J's. All right, J for Yuri, and then S for Steve. All right, we got Dufia, who's gonna. We already got one J already. How dare you, Yash? We've got his app. It is a workout app. I'm butchering your name. Dufia. I'm gonna try that. All right. So it's a workout app. I really love the screenshots, but he wants help on onboarding, subscriptions, the overall user experience, and the app. And he gave me a discount code, which I will check out, but I really want the free one because I want to help your revenues too. Anything off the bat from just the App Store presence here that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that I mean. So the first one is that I've actually used a bunch of these workout apps, and it's a super busy market. So like for me, the kind of thing here is that I'm not sure like what's the unique thing about this one. Like that's, and I mean, maybe it's fine, but I just feel that like the kind of selling points. I mean, like I do like that it's like nice big fat text. I can see what this app is about. It's all on the top there in the screenshots. But like I've seen these same kind of selling points in a lot of different fitness apps. So that's maybe the first. Like what's the angle? You're in a competitive space. I one thing also that kind of like stuck with me is that it's kind of MG home and gym, and then when you look at the description, it's I think it's actually like a very kind of kind of lightweight kind of just workout from the comfort of your own home thing. But man, like that guy is ripped, like I thought this would be some kind of like gym beast, training app.
Here, this is what I imagine you look like. Okay, so this guy right here.
I look like the guy on the left, don't worry about it. Maybe pre-pandemic.
Yeah, I like what you said in the very beginning. I kind of agree with that too. It's like, what are you going to make? There's so many big players out there. What is going to make you really stand out? And I think especially in a very crowded market, like you want to stay as niche as possible and then slowly start expanding once you've dominated a niche. We're working with one client that has done a pretty good job of figuring out what the niche is, doing a great job monetizing, making money, being ROI positive, and then slowly branching out into more of a home workout element piece to it as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead. Anything else you want to add on here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like one thing, I mean, because I mean, maybe this also should be said out loud. Like I usually wouldn't even look at the description, but in this case, I was kind of digging into it. And one thing that like stood out to me is that there's actually all this talk about this. There's this smart algorithm, and it's like a super amazing personal trainer in your phone, and those to me actually sound like slightly more interesting selling points. Like if if it's really that like, look, like I'm gonna get like super customized AI driven fitness instructions, like then I might actually check it out because of that. But none of that is in the part of the page that I actually look at.
Yeah, the screenshots. I agree. And we with marketing and headlines, I'm very like I love data driven in terms of like headlines, which ones work the best. And I know AI backed or AI. Let's see, AI. Anyways, anything with AI tends to do well. Right? So cool. Yeah, great point there. And then the audience, man, we got a fam here now. Change the icon. Rudy says change the icon. Joe says screenshots look great, but icon looks poor. So
yeah,
go,
I mean, yeah, I mean, the icon tells me absolutely nothing about what is this, app? I like the yellow, but this is somehow like a weird like personal preference. Like I want to see more yellow icons on my phone, but like outside of that, like I would maybe get a designer to work on it as well. Something
Agreed.
unique.
Agreed. There's so many like ab workouts, booty workouts. There's like the more niche that you can get, arms workout. I know all these keywords have volume, so the more niche you can get, build the
Yeah,
reviews, build the revenues, and then start going into like
yeah.
other
Well,
things.
because like if I watch a YouTube video and there's a and I'm watching some fitness channel or whatever, and there's a link to
Mhm.
this app, like I'm gonna look at I'll probably click it and I'm gonna look at the page first and just have this like moment of like, is this for me?
Yeah.
But if there's nothing there that kind of talks to like my specific whatever fitness goals or my, I don't know, insecurities, whatever, I'll just go like, yeah, okay, whatever, it's another generic fitness app. I already have a bunch of these, whatever. So really like just dig deep into the specific niche.
Yep. You want to get into your insecurities? No. I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to lose weight, man. I already lost like 10 kilos this year, so working
Oh,
on it.
that's awesome. All right, let's take a look at the app. Muscle gains. I'm assuming that's what MG stands for. So personalized workout plan. Yeah, he doesn't even talk about any of the personalization in the screenshots. Set your goal. For
But
me,
that's interesting because like that's like a clear value, like that's a clearer value prop in the start screen. It's like, all right, like I know what we're doing here. This is personalized, start my journey. Like this speaks to me more than the app page did in a way.
I feel like everything's personalized, so I'm just like, okay. For me, it's not as heavy. I like the AI stuff, but when I hear AI, I'm like, what is it? Like, you're not Google, you're not Apple, so you're just,
Yeah.
this other person. Like, what does that really mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to stay away from like that type of messaging. Probably skinny for now. Probably legs for sure. I'm gonna go cut.
But I kind of dig this, it's like super clear, like we're setting our goals here, and that's probably, why I installed this fitness app, right? Like, so I actually like the onboarding, like we're just getting to it. Like, what do you want to achieve now that you installed this thing?
Yuri, how much do you think I weigh in pounds? I did this last week.
I have no idea, man. Like, Jesus. I
I'm 5'7".
need to kind of, I forget how tall you are. I need to
I'm
do a lot
5'7".
of
How about that?
conversion in my head. It's too complicated. 7 p.m.
So,
here.
I don't know what this is. This is pounds. Oh, sorry. So I'm about 140. I'll just put 141. Target weight. I don't know if I have a target weight. I'm pretty happy. I'll just put 135. See what happens. Vegan. Continue. Home. Continue. I like this, and I feel like with these workout apps, you need this longer pricing page. You need people to really give you that info. Normally, I say shorter is better, but I think for these, this is what you need
But I
here.
think I think it's good because also like really like you do install it because you probably have a goal in mind. So I think it's nice that you just get into it. Like, all right, like let's figure this out. I dig it actually.
Yeah, I dig it too. Cool.
There's a lot of half naked buff dudes in this app though, which I guess depending on your preferences is either cool or not.
I don't mind it. It's sort of like inspirational. I think about like Men's Health magazine, and they have
Yeah,
stuff like
well,
this.
fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah. I think here's what you should be testing. I know it's a 3-day trial. I would be testing a longer trial period to see if that impacts it. I have seen for a couple a client that I'm working with, 14-day trials is actually working pretty well for them. So I was like, whoa, that's interesting. So we're running a test with another client. When I found out that, I think that I don't like that there's no trial on the monthly. I think you want to try to have a trial on the
It's
monthly.
also, I mean, 3 days is pretty harsh, for a fitness app. I mean, like, what I'm gonna get like 1 or 2 workouts in, and then I need to decide and commit for a year. That's a pretty big ask.
And it looks like I can't either. I have to pay or get out, right? There's no way for me to X out of this. So what I would be thinking about is really trying to optimize this. And what I've been really promoting too is sort of the Blinkist model of, and they've proven this out. They have a blog post about this, but where they do this type of pricing page right here, this how your free trial works, we're seeing that convert really well. So I might add this on there because the stats show this, and Blinkist knows this too. Most people who cancel will cancel on the first day because they're like, I just don't want to forget. So when you put something like this, they're like, okay. And I like how they
Mhm.
don't really show the monthly plan, but they do have a 7-day plan. So their monthly has no trial, which is okay for them because there's some free content. But I think you need, because I do think that the splits are going to be like maybe 60-40. You know, it's not going to be heavy on the year. So I would try to get people onto the monthly if you can.
What's
Too.
how's the selling points? Like, what is that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't honestly know if any of these like
Mm-hmm.
convinced me to spend or not spend. I don't know what your take is, but like I might as well just skip the kind of the selling points and just focus on all the people who are already paying for this. Kind of just focus on the social proof.
Exactly. That's what I think is missing here. Like, you know, every type of fitness thing program is before and afters, right? You had to have social proof
Mm-hmm.
testimonials before and
Mm-hmm.
afters. So I would add that on here. I think we're so used to seeing that. And we love it, right? Like I think the YouTube thumbnails, I used to look like this, now I look like this. Here's what I did.
Yeah, exactly,
What?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's we just created my goals. So show me people who've had similar goals and like succeeded with it. That's gonna convince me.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Anything else you want to add here, Yuri?
I mean, I mostly like the onboarding though. Like, I'm not sure about the pricing page, but otherwise, like, it does what I would expect it to do.
Yeah, me too. I think I would just really focus in on this pricing page, drive some traffic to it. I do think at this stage in the App Store, we do need a marketing channel, right? Back no longer can we just stuff our app title and subtitle. It needs to be a
Hmm.
complete marketing plan. You can't just be like, I'm going to rely on ASO. That just doesn't work anymore, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And we make our business on ASO. So it's like, I'm telling you the truth. All right. Great. So as we guessed, you won the first round of dad
Oh,
jokes. And
nice.
before
Oh man.
Adrian, thank you. Thank you. Yuri, this I'm assuming is a J. Joe says a tie. Okay. And
All right.
then Romain went into more. He said
Nice.
3 stars for me, 4 stars for you. So I'll give you that. So I think you definitely won that first round. I do before we go on second round, I do have a question for you. When it comes to working with Matchmade, with the content, one of my previous guests, he said, hey, I love working with creators because the content they create is so good that I'll actually take that content and run it at its Facebook ads. Is that something we can do with you?
Yeah, we so it's not like a part of the Express campaigns offering, but it's something we
Mm.
do quite a lot. So both the kind of standard thing we've done for a long time with some of the biggest customers is that we'll just run like a regular campaign, and then after that, they'll kind of get the whole buffet of like, hey, here's all the content that was produced. Like, can you tell us which ones you like creatively? And then we'll get the rights for you. We'll ask the creators like, hey, are you okay if, we pay you some extra if these guys are able to use this in their other advertising. And usually, I mean, for the creators, they've already done the work, so it's just extra money. And for the advertiser, it's like proven to work, creative content. So it's really actually a win-win. We do that, and then a huge kind of trend last year and this year is just working with creators to just produce content that's going to be used elsewhere, so it doesn't get posted on their channels, but we just kind of tap into their ability to create cool things, and then it might be run on TikTok as an ad directly and
Yep.
skip their channel fully. Yeah, it's a
Oh, I
big
like
big
that.
growing thing. Yeah.
And then I think that I want to focus. You guys were kind enough to send me this slide, but I want to kind of talk about this. In the previously, like, hey, here's how you would run a Facebook ad strategy campaign ad set, and then you'd always run it like this, right? Like you wouldn't run it like that. So why would you
Mhm.
run creative marketing like this? You'd run a Facebook campaign like this, right? Like normally you have a campaign and you have different ad sets. You're copying, you're testing out a bunch of different things. And so you want to
Mhm.
explain a little bit about this part?
Well, yeah, I mean, so it's the whole thing where just if you dive into this, with the idea that you have the perfect creator in mind, that you have the perfect, creative brief for them, then honestly, even if it does work out, like, what do you do next? You find the next perfect creator, you give them the next perfect brief. Like, it's just like, it's not realistic to do marketing in that way. Like, so it always has to start from, objective parameters. You say that I want to work with creators that reach an audience that's in Spain and that produce content about whatever cooking. That's my objective targeting, and then I'm going to price this sponsorship based on this CPM figure, which I'm going to based on their average 30-day, views. And that's my thesis. I'm going to go in, going to find these creators that match this targeting, going to give them, offers based on this pricing, and then we'll get all the content out. We're not going to look at the performance of any individual pieces of content. We're going to look at the campaign as a whole to see if this worked. And if it did, great, we'll do it again. If some of the videos performed, some of them didn't, we might look at, are there kind of objective, things about these channels that performed that they all share? And that can give us like a new thesis. We can say, well, all of these channels, they're actually, yes, they're Spanish channels, but they're actually, Latin American Spanish. So actually, you know what? That's my new thesis. We're going to just work with Latin American Spanish channels, and because we saw them perform better. And now we'll do that. We'll do the same thing again and keep adjusting and keep testing things out. And because that's, like if you do online advertising, you'll run a ton of different creatives, and then it's a ton of different targetings, and then you double down on what works, and that's that. So same mentality, right?
It's a great slide. I love this. I think, it is a good reminder that, hey, man, like, think about this. This is how you normally run it. But we do actually think about, when it comes to creative marketing, here's our creator. We got it. We're putting all our eggs in this basket. Oh, it didn't work. Creative marketing sucks. And then now it's
because
like,
that's
hey,
the thing, people always people like to talk about their success cases. And like, the thing is that, like, if you get lucky with a big creator, like the results are incredibly good. And of course, you'll go on a conference and you'll talk about it. If it didn't work out, you're not going to tell anyone because you just wasted 150K. So, so you get this like, whatever, like confirmation bias, this kind of like, you only talk about the success cases, but it's not the reality.
All right. I like it. All right, Yuri, round 2. I'm going to try to tie it up. Here we go. You want me to start again, or you want to start?
Oh man,
I want to tie it up. I'm going to owe you those 50 push-ups.
Man, that was my good one already. You go first. I need to think about the next one.
Okay. Maybe I can tie this up, and then we'll have time. Hopefully, have time for one last one. Yuri, what did the buffalo say to his son when he left for school? Bye, son.
I have no idea, man. Oh, bye, son. Oh, dude. Yeah, that's a solid dad joke. Oh well. Damn. All right. How do you measure a social media influencer's popularity?
How?
By dimensions.
I like all these puns. Did you make these up? This is pretty good.
I stole all of this, man. Great artist steal,
It's really good. I'm very impressed. Very, very impressed. Let's get into the last app audit while we have a couple of more minutes of Yuri's time. I know it's getting late in Berlin. So again, I picked out these apps because I thought they were a better match for creator marketing. So this is Dan's app. Allows you recycling made simple, scan it, recycle, earn rewards, keep plastic out of oceans. I would like all the big benefits that he has on his ASO. So yeah, I'll kind of let you.
Yeah, no, I really dig the kind of first screenshot, because at least the first question is always like, is it for me? And like, you go like, yep, okay, yes, I care about all these things, tell me more. So you got me hooked with this. I'm kind of getting lost after this. So even like, okay, I think the text could be a bit bigger, but also like, I'm confused person, like, because the first thing is scan. I'm like, okay, like I get it. I scan my recycling and then it tells me what to do with it. But then we get to like shop and collect, and I'm actually kind of confused now. Like, why I'm not here to shop and collect. I just want to sort out my recycling.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know what it is. And I think the scan is really throwing me off. Maybe I'm just not the wrong audience. I try to recycle as much as I can. And I just don't know why I'm scanning. And so I'm just confused on what I'm supposed to be doing and why I earn stuff.
That's really because like I've actually been looking for an app like this that works in Germany and Finland. So I'm kind of I see the kind of first screenshot and I'm going like, oh my god, like this is exactly the thing I'm looking for. And then I just get lost on like, wait, what am I actually doing in this app? Am I now I'm scanning things, then I'm shopping for something like, what is this? So the value prop kind of, it's actually not super clear anymore. It's not super clear to me. What am I getting out of this? It gets diluted. And I thought about this because I think there's this whole thing with, that there's this, you collect points. This is a gamification. When you use this app, you collect points, you can do stuff with that. From a user point of view, like I think my motivation for installing this app is just like I'm trying to do the right thing. So that feels like it's taking me in like a weird, surprising direction that I'm not sure I'm actually comfortable with.
Yeah. I know
Yeah, the
Dan had
logo.
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, the logo is. I mean, it's another letter on my screen. It's quite a lot of letters in there. So maybe not the most memorable.
Oh my god, that's so funny. All right, I think with the ASO, because I know Dan has some questions about organic. I think this is hard environment. I know with the keyword research that we've done, recycling is probably big, but waste management, those type of keywords. I try to use, and before my Chrome died on me, but I try to use app follow and try to do some keyword research on that. And so go into app follow, do some keyword research on what people are actually searching for in this space, and then reorganize some of this. So like scan it, you don't need the subtitle is very important for you. And so you don't want scan it because it doesn't really have the keywords that people are searching for. You probably don't want earn rewards because you're going to attract a whole different type of audience who might be looking for like walk for coins, sweat coins, those type of things all that time. And so you really want to hit home on that recycling target audience. And what I try to use here is this, like, I just do this really. I just look at, let's say, recycling. If that's the main keyword, search for it. This is just for the US for now. And then recycling coach, recycle coach. So I look at one of the top two. I go, all right, let me just click on this little eye icon and then do keyword research this way. So we got recycle coach, you got waste management. So these are good keywords, trash, recycle. So these are the keywords that I want to start figuring out. So recycle bin, maybe that is like figure out which recycling bin. Maybe that's the subtitle. And you have
sort out your trash,
Yeah.
That
Sort out your
makes
trash.
sense.
Yeah. So I think the brand is more important because it doesn't look like that's the downside of this industry is just the traffic volume isn't super huge for like the generic terms like meditation, mindfulness, workout. The generic terms aren't there. It's more the branded terms that seem to get most of the weight. So that's what I would do on the ASO front for you. And then, the last thing I'll repeat is the Spanish Mexico. So actually you don't need to be available in Spanish Mexico in the Mexico market, but if you utilize that localization within App Store Connect and you put English keywords in there, so maybe the Spanish Mexico title has waste management, right? Or recycle coach. So you're going after these other brands in there. That's where you want to hide it, and you don't have to be available. And so you can have these brand names in there, and that's going to help your US keyword rankings there too. Okay,
it's a pretty neat trick.
Yuri, I hope you're finding another joke because I'm just like shutting you out in this round too, FYI. Okay. Let's take a look at Scrap for Dan and then we'll call it a day. Yuri's got to grab some dinner. It's getting late for him, man. Come on. All right. Let's go quickly on this. Welcome to Scrap. Knowing what to recycle is so confusing. I wish it was easier. Yes, I agree. Okay. See, know what's recyclable and what's not, right? This is what should be in the screenshots. Okay.
It's kind of the same deal as with MG, like, oh, this is great. Like, just put this on the App Store.
Scan my first product.
Great. Oh my god, like I wish I saw this first thing, like just scan your barcodes and it tells you where to put that. Amazing.
My crazy desk. I don't know if this will help. This is my, can I scan this electronic thing? Does it have to be my USB hub? Okay, maybe not. Let's go into this. Overall, it looks really good. I don't know how you're making money, but it looks pretty good.
I guess
I think this could use some work. This homepage, right? Like, I don't like this. You have so much wasted space down here. Like, why are you making me scroll right here? I don't get it. I don't know what's going to show up. Maybe it's the items I've scanned that'll show up after I populate.
Yeah.
But right now there's just so much empty space.
Yeah, as a first user experience, it's pretty weird. It feels like something that didn't load almost. I guess the app broken.
Right.
Should I restart it?
That's a good point. That's a good point. I want to see if there's any. Yeah, there's no revenue model. Okay, so I can't help you with anything related to the pricing page. But overall, it's a good user experience. I really like it.
One thing that I mean, obviously, this is like me, being in Germany. I because I think this is like a highly kind of regional product. Like this is only gonna probably work in the UK.
Mm.
And I wish that was kind of a little bit clearer on the App Store page. Because I mean, I installed it. I tried to scan a water bottle at the office, and obviously nothing came up. And then I looked at
Oh,
the
really?
description, and deep down in the description, it says that, oh, by the way, this is actually only working in the UK right now. It's like, well,
Oh,
that's pretty important information to me, at least.
okay. Yeah, maybe even just make it available in the UK. Might be
Yeah,
easier
and
for you.
I mean, for this one, yeah, because it's for most users, it's gonna be a kind of a disappointing experience, and you just don't, want those reviews.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. All right, my friend. You got one last joke? We'll end it with that. I can start.
I
Give
started
you
with
some
the
time.
good one. I mean, this is no, you go for it, man. Go for it.
Okay, what do you call a nervous javelin thrower? What do you call a nervous javelin thrower?
I have no idea. What do you call him?
Shakespeare.
Ah,
All right.
yep, yep.
All right,
Keep,
lots on the
keep,
line,
keep
Yuri.
that
What you got,
energy.
brother?
All right. What? Oh, this is. I'm gonna lose my job because of this. What's the only place that an influencer can find a job?
Where?
The post office. No, because you're
Pose,
posting
like
all the time.
pose, like this.
Post.
Pose.
Never
Pose.
mind. Like
Oh, pose.
I
Oh,
should
I
have.
got it.
I should have gone with the first joke last. Then I might have a chance of winning this. Now I'm just gonna do all these push-ups.
We'll give you a hand. We'll give you a hand. All right, guys. If you guys are interested in creator marketing, I love that Yuri's done a good job. Matchmade, they say, look, it's creator marketing. It's all about the creator. Influencers. You got. I like the nuance. I love when a company really thinks about it because it means that they care. It is matchmade.tv. Matchmade.tv. Look, if you want to get started, you can get started with these express campaigns, and Yuri broke it down right here. Oh, I have the slide right here, but think of your campaigns like these creator marketing campaigns where you run a couple of different ones, really figure it out what works in the first 3 months, and then boom, you're able to scale. And that's the hardest part about creator marketing is that scalability part, because just like, oh, that one worked, how do we repeat that? They know that, and that's why he's been talking about scaling, repeatable, and that's what they put this entire process together for. So once again, it is matchmade.tv. If the audience wants to connect with you personally, you want to send them anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter as Jiri, Jiri. You can email me, jiri@matchmade.tv. Find me on LinkedIn. I mean, I'm quite responsive online, so just ping me on something.
You say it so much cooler than I've been saying it. Yiri, Yiri. Is that how you saying it?
You're doing a good job. Like,
Okay.
nothing wrong with that.
You want to wait a little bit more because you're right now losing. Got S,
Oh
S,
man, no, I
J,
know. Well, I mean,
S.
it's as I said, I'm trying to lose weight, so now I have even more motivation to keep working out. Because I can do those 50 push-ups. So it's actually part of my plan.
Okay, good. I look forward to seeing your 50 push-ups. Once again, it is matchmade.tv. Join us next week where we have the CEO of Taplytics, and we're going to talk all about A/B testing, whether it's your screenshots, whether it's your pricing page, your paywall, your onboarding, what you should be A/B testing, and what's going to really have move the needle, the biggest bang for your buck. So join us every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, and we're going to be talking to the CEO of Taplytics. But Yuri, thank you so much for the awesome dad jokes. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for what you've done with Matchmade.tv and the whole essence of creator marketing versus using influencer marketing. So thank you so much for coming on doing this.
Thanks for having me, Steve. That was amazing. Enjoyed
Thank
it.
you all for being here, and I will see you guys next Friday. Have a great weekend. Bye. That was great. Thanks for staying on. Sometimes people just
was
jump
cool.
off after that. Some people.
No, I figured I should say like actually thanks. I don't know why I'm getting like